Well, hello, everybody. Welcome back. It is day 2 of the trial. Today is June 26th. It's Tuesday. And the first witness to come on the stand is Adriana Flores. And she is Grizelda's best friend. They went to school together from middle school on. On April 9th, 2018, Grizelda called Adriana to ask if she could use the restroom at her home around 9 a.m. Adriana saw both Dominic and Grizelda at that time. Grizelda told her friend that she was going to the park to meet Anthony. Now remember, that's the name that they knew Ronald by. Her and Grizelda were supposed to meet up later that day, but that would be the last time Adriana would see Grizelda and Dominic. Grizelda had told Adriana that Anthony was married but separated, and she'd also told her that Anthony had wanted Grizelda to abort the baby. He had also told Grizelda that his wife lived out of state in Florida. He denied that Dominic was ever his child. And in an attempt to get the child support from Anthony, Grizelda and Adriana did some web sleuthing to find out more information on Ronald. On social media, Ronald went by the name Roro Avi. Adriana said that Grizelda and Anthony mainly communicated through social media, but that he had no relationship with the baby Dominic. And at one point, he told Grizelda that he wanted to give up his rights to the baby. Adriana also explains the day that Anthony allegedly used a needle on Dominic in his thigh, and a message Anthony had sent Grizelda telling her that she's going to hate what he's about to do. Adriana told her to get a restraining order, but Grizelda unfortunately never acquired one. Now, upon cross-examination, the defense says that Adriana was the last to see her best friend and Dominic alive, that she had never met Anthony, nor had she ever seen them together, and that everything Adriana knows about the relationship came from Grizelda herself. I think we can now see where the defense is laying out to create doubt, because remember, Ronald, if convicted, will at a minimum spend life in prison. The state is seeking the death penalty. So let's listen to Adriana's testimony. But first, please hit the subscribe and like buttons. It helps this channel immensely.
Because I was Grizelda's best friend.
What is your relationship with her? Is that as her best friend?
Yeah.
How did you know Grizelda?
We went to school together.
Okay, when you say school, can you be more specific?
I met her in middle school and throughout high school.
And what grades, did you all share grades or in different grades? Can you please tell us?
We were in the same grade. We were in middle school together, and in high school we were freshmen together.
And when did you all become best friends?
Throughout high school, we were really close in freshman year. Then I didn't go to school. I got out of school in my junior year, and then we reconnected in 2014.
How did you reconnect in 2014?
We had each other on social media, and we just started messaging each other.
How did your relationship evolve after that? Like, how did it grow?
We just started hanging out more, doing like the mom things, going out together.
Now, when you say the mom things, how many children do you have?
I have 4.
Okay. And you reconnected with her in 2014. How many children did she have at that point?
1.
Okay. And eventually, did she come to have another child?
Yes.
And who was that child?
Dominic
Dominic Hernandez?
Hernandez, yes.
Dominic Alexander Hernandez.
Dominic Alexander.
And did you know Dominic?
Yes.
So in 2015, you started doing mom things with her?
Yes.
Like what?
We would just go out. We would go out to eat, shop with the kids. At that time, she only had her first son.
What's his name?
Jaden.
Okay. Did you have any children close to the age of Dominic?
Yes.
Who was that?
My 2 youngest ones. They were a few months apart from each other. Like, yeah.
Do you remember when Griselda became pregnant with Dominic?
Yes, in 2015.
Let's talk about that. How did you learn about her pregnancy?
She texted me, and she told me that she was pregnant.
Did she tell you or discuss anything about the father of the baby?
Yeah, she told me that it was someone that she was dating, which was Anthony, and she just told me she was pregnant, and she didn't know what to do.
Had you ever met this Anthony?
No.
At the time that she said she was pregnant from Anthony, did you know if she had been seeing this guy Anthony?
I knew she had been seeing Anthony, yeah, but I never met him or anything like that.
You mentioned that you would text Griselda. What other platforms would you use what other types of social media would you use to speak with her?
We usually message through Facebook Messenger and Snapchat.
Do you know if Griselda had a job?
No, she didn't.
What was Griselda doing in 2015, 2016?
She was going to school to TAMU.
Do you know what she was pursuing?
Nursing.
Do you know how she was able to handle the jobs of school and being a mom?
What
How
do
was
you...
she doing it financially?
Oh, she, I do know that she was struggling a bit, and she was getting, student loans and helping herself out with that.
Okay. And the student loans would help her with daycare?
With daycare, with the school, daycare, and anything she needed at that time.
Did you all live near each other?
Yes.
In what neighborhood you say, or what neighborhood can you tell the jury without the address?
She lived on Dillwood, and I lived on a neighborhood over, which was El Rancho Viejo. Around there.
What do you call that part of the city? Off of what?
It's Mines Road.
Okay, so that's in west of the river.
Yeah.
I want to go back to April the 9th of 2018. Do you remember that day?
Yes.
Did you remember coming in contact with Griselda on that day?
Yes.
How, if any, did you come in contact with Griselda?
On April 9th,
Yes.
she called me to ask if she can use my restroom, and she went over to my house.
Do you remember more or less what time this occurred during the day?
It was like around 9 in the morning.
Right before 9 or?
Right before 9, or 9.
Okay. And when she arrived to your house, how did she get there?
She was in her sister's car.
What type of car was that?
It was a white Mercedes.
Was anybody else in the car?
Dominic.
Her baby. Okay. And where was he?
He was in the back seat, in the car seat.
You remember what he was doing?
He was with his little phone. He was watching a little cartoon or something.
On his own phone. How did you go out and greet Dominic?
Yes, she went inside the house to use my restroom, and I stayed outside with Dominic, and I stayed inside the car for a little bit.
Did you have any discussions with her or offer to take care of Dominic?
I don't recall if I offered to take care of him, but I did. I just stayed with him for a little bit and just waited till she came out.
Do you know where she was going?
Yes, to the park.
When you say the park, what park is that?
Father McNoby.
Father Magnolia or Father McNoble Park?
Yeah, that one.
Okay. And do you remember seeing any food in the car?
Yeah, I saw Chick-fil-A.
So she was, any particular reason why she was going to Father McNoble Park? Why she was going to park?
Yeah, she mentioned she was gonna go to the park to meet Anthony.
The father of the baby?
Yes.
Did you have any plans to see her later on that day?
Yes. We had, our original plans was, we had already discussed it the day before where she was gonna come over around noon. We were gonna watch a movie and hang out with the kids in my house.
And after she came out of the restroom and walked out of your house to get into your car, did she ask you anything? About
Before she left my house,
it?
she said, "How do I look?"
And what did you say?
"You look great. Call me back. Call me when you're on your way."
her again that day?
No, I didn't.
Let's go talk about this Anthony. Did she ever tell you what his last name was?
Yes.
What was his last name?
Burgos.
Anthony Burgos. What kind of information did she share with you about Anthony?
At the beginning, she just told me that he was a border patrol.
That wasn't the beginning. What else did you come to learn about Anthony?
Well, when we first talked about him, she just mentioned that he was a border patrol and that he was separated, and that's pretty much what I knew about him.
Did you know if he was living in Laredo?
No. From my understanding, he wasn't living in Laredo. Like, he worked, but he would just come sometimes.
Like he was stationed somewhere else?
Yeah, I believe so. So I thought.
Do you remember if Grizelda advised him of the pregnancy?
Yeah.
To your knowledge, did Anthony ever help her with the baby financially?
No.
How do you know that?
Because she mentioned it to him, and he didn't want anything to do with the baby. Like, he didn't want her to go through the pregnancy, so he wasn't helping at all.
When you say he didn't want her to go through the pregnancy, what do you mean by that?
He wanted her to abort the baby.
What was her decision?
She didn't want to. She was going to keep the baby.
So going into 2017, Grizelda's having financial problems or struggles. In 2017, he said that with the baby, school, financially it's tough.
Yes.
You guys discussed options or what she should do?
She did. Well, we did talk about her wanting to putting him on child support so she can help herself.
What was your opinion about that?
I told her that she should.
So at that point in time, did she know before the decision? Ultimately, did she decide that yes, she's going to pursue child support?
Yeah.
Up until that time, did she know where Anthony lived?
No.
Did you or her or both of you try to find out more about Anthony?
Yes.
So tell us, did you help her try to find stuff out about Anthony?
We tried to do our investigation, I can say. We would like go through social media, Google, see a little bit more about him, just see what we can find out. Because you need like an address to be able to report for child support.
So as her best friend, you're helping her now try to find this guy? Yes?
Yes.
So you're using social media, like what?
Instagram, Facebook, and Google search.
Any success finding out information on him or his family?
She was able to find Instagram and the address on Google.
Okay. Now that she had the address, are we talking now 2017, close to 2018?
Close to 2018.
Around that whole child support time?
Yeah, I don't recall the dates.
That's fine. What, if anything, do y'all do?
Well, we find out where he lives, and we did pass by his house to see if we can, like, if he actually did live here or he didn't.
How many times were you, or let me ask you this, how, if any way, did you get to go to his house? Who was driving?
I would drive.
You would drive?
Yeah, I went like once or twice, and I drove when I was with her.
Do you remember the color of his house?
I don't remember the color.
Do you remember more or less what part of town he lived in?
Around Shiloh Crossing, I want to say, or Shiloh, off Loop 20.
So if you enter Shiloh off of Route 20,
Mm-hmm.
can you give me just a general direction how to get there?
So around where the Shiloh Crossing apartments are, in that subdivision.
You go in there?
Yes. I don't recall how to, more or less, but yes, passing the apartments.
So that's one of the landmarks there, the apartments.
Yeah.
Other landmarks or buildings that you remember?
I remember there was a park nearby, and that's it. I don't recall anything else.
Were you ever able to find out if you had a family?
Yes, we
Tell us
even
about that.
so we eventually found out that he was indeed married, and that the wife actually lived in Laredo.
Oh, why do you say she actually lived in Laredo?
Because at the beginning, when she thought that they were separated or she wasn't in the picture, there was some mention that she lived out of state
Where?
in Florida, I want to say.
Were you all able to discover any information on his wife? Social media on Anthony's wife?
Just her name.
Okay. And were you able to view any photos on her site?
Yeah, we saw some pictures of her children, of his kids.
Do you all remember, or what did you do when you all saw these pictures of the
Well, at that point, it's when he was like always denying, like this is already like fast forward, he denied Dominic, so we just compared the pictures of his son to Dominic, and they were the same. They looked very alike.
When you say they were the same, you found pictures of Anthony's kids? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, we saw a picture of one of his, I don't know if it's his youngest or which one, but there was a baby picture and it looked so much alike like Dominic.
Permission to approach us?
Amen.
I'm going to show you State's Exhibit 495, 494, and 496. I'll ask you if you recognize these pictures.
Yeah. Yes.
That's on 496. 495.
Yes.
See what.
Sure, I was going to show them to you right now. She's not. I'm just asking if she's recognized as 494.
Yes.
Okay. And these are the images that you all saw on the Facebook.
Yeah. On Instagram, I'm sorry.
On Instagram.
On Instagram.
I'm first going to show you these pictures. You recognize him, the lady?
Yes. That's Dominic.
Right there. Dominic?
Well, Dominic, yes.
You recognize his little shoes?
Yes. Yes, I do.
Let me ask you, you saw Dominic on the last day he was alive. Was he walking?
No. Oh, he was in the car seat.
Okay, but was he okay?
No, I had seen him days prior. He was not walking.
And we'll get to that. I'll show you also these two pictures.
Dominic.
And I'm going to show you the other pictures.
That's Dominic.
Who's this little baby?
So I think that's his other son.
In other words, that's not Dominic.
That's not Dominic.
What number is on display, Nelson?
This is 495.
Oh.
So these little nets of kisses on Dominic, who did that?
Great. Grizelda.
And then it happens that Anthony's son, on his wife's page, has kisses on his.
Yes.
The other person.
Yes.
Do you remember what his name was on social media?
I'm sorry, who's?
Do you remember what name Anthony used on social media?
Roro Avi.
Can you spell that for us?
I think it's RORO and then Avi is ABI.
Robo-Avi.
Mm.
What else did you come to learn about the relationship that Grizelda had with Anthony?
Well,
Like how often would they see each other?
they would see each other just once in a while. It wasn't I wouldn't say it was like a boyfriend-girlfriend relationship. It was more like they just dated once in a while.
Did you ever know how would they communicate?
By social media.
Do you know how she met?
All I know is that they met by social media,
But you don't know which social media.
not what platform. No.
Do you know what type of relationship Anthony had with Dominic?
They had no relationship.
In fact, did you ever learn about him wanting to give up his paternal rights?
Yes, he texted Griselda that he wanted to give up his rights.
Did you see that text? Or did she show you that text?
Yes.
And you said earlier that you would use social media, or you would use Instagram to communicate with her.
I would use Facebook Messenger and Snapchat to communicate with her.
You recognize it.
Yes.
You recognize the date. 1/13 of 2018, January 13th. Okay. This is around the time where the child support case is. She's gonna file.
She's gonna file.
And who is this text?
That's Griselda texting me.
Okay, can you read that out loud? What's doing?
It's, dude, I'm bawling my eyes out right now. A, which is Anthony, is thinking about giving up his rights. I know I said I'd be okay, but I'm totally not. I literally don't know what I did to deserve such a douchebags as their dads. Jaden and Dom deserve more than this, more than them, and worst part of it all, I feel responsible for giving them shitty people as their fathers.
On page 2 of Case Exhibit 47. Starting at the top, can you tell us what date that is?
January 14, 2018.
Okay, this is from who to who?
I believe I sent that.
Okay,
I sent it to Chris.
what do you say?
When did you send this? Because I just got it.
That.
Dude, fuck him. Way, he's such a douchebag. He doesn't deserve to ever see nor have anything to do with Dom.
That's what you say?
Yes.
Okay. Go on.
Dom doesn't need anyone but you and your family. He has everything. Don't even try talking with A anymore.
So now you're going to say a slang word
Yes, in Spanish.
and I want you to say it, and then we're going to wait for a translation. Is that right?
Yeah.
Okay, so what slang Spanish word do you say here?
Say que chingue su madre.
Fuck him.
And then continue. What else do you say?
I said fuck him with CS, meaning child support, y vámonos que se vaya. And it's a slang word.
Or if you could read it in real time, just say it. It's okay. Just go ahead and say it how you said it.
Okay, I said fuck him with child support, y vámonos que se vaya a la verga.
Fuck him with CS, and that's it. He can go to hell.
It's his child biologically, so he needs to support financially. No más hasta ahí, meaning
Better.
And that's that.
And then what else do you say?
Dom will hurt more having a selfish person in and out of his life.
The advice you're giving her?
Yes.
Okay.
Friday, I think
Now, this is, can you clarify for the record, is this from her to you or you to her?
I don't know. I can't see, and I don't recall if it's.
About where left off.
It says something about Friday. The 8370.
So now we're, message 8370, 98270. It says to Adi. Who's Adi?
Me,
Your name's
Adriana. She would call me Adi.
All right, so, and I'm gonna ask you for the record to also say this to and from, or I sent this to, or I received from her.
Okay.
Okay?
Yeah.
So on this one, go ahead and start there.
So Grizelda sent me Friday, I think. I'm sorry, it's super small. Can you? That's a bit better. But Friday, I think, where he was like, I'm not saying I am, it's just a piece of paper, and that's never going to stop me from seeing him. The only who can say, fuck it, I'm never going to see him is me. That's just a piece of paper that's not going to stop me from seeing him.
What were you all talking about there?
I think she was telling me that that it's just a paper, I guess, because of him giving up his rights.
Next message.
And I was, she sent, and I was like, look, that's what you want? Tell me so we can get it over with. And he just said, no, you've never done anything for me to do that to you.
So what is she telling you? What do you make of that message?
I'm trying to remember, I mean, I'm seeing this right, but we're talking about the child support, so I guess he's meaning to do that to you as in,
If you don't know, it's fine.
yeah,
The next message.
okay. And so I don't know, like I'm telling him later that I'm just going this coming week because I can't anymore. I was like literally bawling my eyes out that night. I felt so fucking depressed. Like first Jaden, now Dom. Like really? What the fuck is wrong with me? No mames.
Like, really, dude, what the fuck is wrong with me? Shit.
The next message is who to who.
The next one is from me to her, and I go, and what did he say when you told him you were gonna go next week? I think I'm talking about the child support. I'm starting to. She put, I haven't told him, messaging him later, a ver qué dice.
Go ahead now.
The translation, a ver qué dice.
I haven't told him, message him later to see what he says.
And then I said, fuck his opinion. I told Grizelda, fuck his opinion.
You're talking about Anthony.
Yes. About the child support. Do I go ahead and read that? So I put, al chile, pinche vato, no vale verga. I hate him and I don't know him. But me da un coraje. He doesn't know what he will miss out on. But that little boy is worth so much more than his part-time. Fuck him, fuck him, fuck him. And not literally puts. Haha.
Honestly, fucking dude isn't worth a shit. I hate him and I don't know him, lol, but it pisses me off. He doesn't know what he will miss out on. But that little boy. the next messages, but that little boy's worth so much more than his part-time. Fuck him, fuck him, fuck him. Not literally. Interpreter needs a clarification of, but
I think it's, we can move on.
Next message.
She put not literally with emojis. I'm guessing it was like laughing faces and no mames, haha.
not literally. But
But yeah, she put, but yeah, I have to tell you the whole combo so you can know everything.
So the next message up on top is line 8380 on 1/14/2018. Okay, start.
So Grizelda texts me, I'm telling him later, so I'm bound to get all depressed and shit when we talk, since I know he's going to probably some slick shit way. And then she puts, he's like, I'm not living there anymore and I don't know when I'll even be there. Like I do, we catch up tomorrow, but bitch, don't let your phone die. Oh, just in case I get all but hurt. So she wrote that to me.
What does that mean?
That she's gonna talk to him, that they're gonna talk, so she's gonna end up being all sad and depressed, so for me to have my phone on standby just in case she needs to call me.
Next line.
She put, laugh aloud, no, but really, culerita.
no, but really, let's see.
And she put, and yeah, that's what I told him, that he literally had no idea if he's thinking or is going to give up his rights, pero pues I don't know. Emoji faces.
And yeah, that's what I told him, that he literally had no idea if he thinking or is going to give up his rights, but oh, will do. I don't know.
Next line.
I texted her, I'll be on standby, love, don't worry, but message me through Facebook or something. Because I don't know why I'm not getting messages a day late unless I message first. So I was having issues with my phone. And she puts, okay, yeah, I will. Tomorrow for sure. Till I go back on Tuesday.
And to be noted, did she ever file for child support?
Yes, she did.
Did she, who, if anyone, did she advise that she was going to be fighting?
Like, who did she mention? Who did she tell? She told me and I'm sure her family. And I don't know who else. And Anthony.
And showed you 9442. This is for you.
Yes.
This is on February 12th. Right, so now, got for January, now in February.
Yeah, a month later.
Okay, what are you all talking about here?
And so, she's telling me, dude, A just replied, A is Anthony. What the fuck do I say? Where are you when I need you? And then she puts Booties, meaning like, that was like a nickname, right? I wasn't answering.
What was going on?
Well, Anthony had just replied to her and she was trying to tell me, but I wasn't answering because my phone was, I was having issues with my, that's a text message, so I was having issues with my phone.
By this time, February 12th, is she already moving forward with the child support?
Yes.
Is that why he's reaching out to her?
Yeah. Yes.
Remember March 25th?
Yes.
Remember anything significant that happened on that day?
Yes. That's my new phone number. So that I had just gotten a new phone.
What that means? A phone call or text?
Yeah, that was a phone call she called me that day.
You remember that day, March 25th?
Yes.
And this was about 15 days before, prior to Dominic's death, right?
Yes.
What can you tell us about that day, from that morning, if you remember anything that happened?
So, she goes to meet up with Anthony at the Winfield Park.
Okay. And were you aware of this meeting?
I don't recall if I knew beforehand, before her going. I just received that call around noon. And that's when she starts explaining to me what had happened.
And what happened?
From what I remember, I don't remember the whole conversation. I just remember her calling me crying.
Okay, let's talk about that. She calls you crying.
Yes.
Please tell the jury what's her emotional state when she called.
She was crying. She was really emotional, very, she was angry that she had gone to the park. She was regretting her going.
Well, she was crying on this conversation?
Yeah, she was just crying and crying.
What kind of things was she saying?
She was just saying that, well, I can hear the baby crying in the background. She was just like, that she was regretting going over to go meet up with Anthony, that it didn't go as planned. She just wanted him to see the baby, you know, to have a little relationship, you know, just to meet him, and, you know, talk about the child support. And he had said something along the lines with, me vas a odiar por lo que voy a hacer, meaning you're gonna hate.
Okay.
Go ahead. Go ahead. Not sure about you.
Do I keep on?
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
No, I'm gonna ask you,
You're going to hate me for what I'm going to do.
is that accurate to what the translator just said?
Yes.
You're gonna hate me for what I'm gonna do?
Yes. And
And what if anything do you say or do?
well, I told her that that sounded like a threat, so she should put a restraining order against him.
That was your advice for her to go get a restraining order?
Yes, I told her to, and just to be careful, and not to meet up with him again. That was around that time.
Did she ever go and get a restraining order?
Not that I know of. No.
Anything else that you learned about Dominic that day? Anything happened to him?
Later on that day, we had a concert to attend that night. So I texted her like around 4, and I was like, "Are you ready?"
What concert?
The Bad Bunny concert in the arena. Yes. So I texted her around 4, and I said, "Hey, are you ready? Are we still going?" or something like that. And she told me that she was at the hospital with Dominic because she thought that he had got bitten by a spider or something, and that he was in pain.
And what did she end up going with you to the concert, or what happened to Dom?
Yeah, so she was at the emergency room, and he was getting treated, and so I guess they gave him antibiotics. He got treated, and they released him, and we did end up going to the concert later on that night
Where did she go?
with her mom.
That's
Mr. Clark?
Pardon me, good morning.
Good morning.
Sure that mic is.
Thank you for being here. I think, and I know, everyone in this room is very sorry for your loss. You were Grizelda's best friend.
Yes.
And more than that, you were the last person to see both Grizelda and Dominic alive.
Yes.
And that's a very heavy burden, isn't it?
Yes.
And, ma'am, you testified on direct examination that you never actually met Anthony, is that correct?
Correct.
Right. And you never saw Anthony and Grizelda together, correct?
Correct.
So everything that you know about their relationship is from Grizelda, is that correct?
Correct.
And just very briefly, I want to talk about the evening, actually the 25th. And the 25th stands out because that's the day that you went to the Bad Bunny concert. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay. And you testified on direct examination that Grizelda called you from the emergency room. Did I understand that correctly?
No, she did not call me from the emergency room.
Okay. So she called you, and that was the exhibit that the state showed you. Is that the record? Is that correct?
From the text messages?
Well, the last exhibit they
Oh,
showed
okay.
you was a phone call, as I understood.
Yes, but she was not at the emergency yet.
She was on her way to the emergency room.
She was not on, I didn't know about the emergency room until she texted me.
And you actually had messaged with Grizelda earlier that day on the 25th in the morning. Isn't that correct?
I messaged her. I'm pretty sure since we did speak daily.
So she messaged you on Facebook very early in the morning on the 25th. Isn't that correct?
I don't recall. I'm sure she did. I'm not too sure.
Okay. Would it refresh your recollection to see a copy of your Facebook Messenger?
Yeah.
Judge Andrich.
You may.
So look at those messages and let me know when your recollection is refreshed.
Yes, I do recall these messages.
Okay. And are those Facebook messages, do they accurately reflect the messages that you exchanged with Grizelda on the morning of the 25th?
Yes, it's just not the morning. It's like after.
So I know you're looking at it, and you say it's the afternoon because it says
13.
UTC 1340. Is that why you're saying it's the afternoon?
Yeah, it's like after.
So I would ask you, well, if I apologize, may I have the back so I can mark it?
Are you gonna offer it?
I am.
Okay, there was no objection from the state at the very beginning, so that's why I was trying to avoid that. What is the number on it?
It'll be D1. So.
Defendants one, being offered, the objection?
So now if I could have you look at page 165. I apologize. Page 166, as it's marked at the top, which for the record is defendants 1.2. And at the bottom of the page, it's the fourth message from the bottom. It says author Adriana Lynette. Is that you?
Yes.
Okay. And that's where it says sent, and then it's 2018 325.
Yes.
Is that correct, ma'am?
Yes, that's what it says here.
And then it says 133556 UTC. Is that correct, ma'am?
1335. Yeah, UTC. Mm-hmm.
And I'm gonna try to use
Yeah.
it. And so you can see that the message I previously referred to is the one that says 133546 UTC. And then you had written to Grizelda, why are you awake? Is that correct?
Yes.
And that UTC doesn't refer to Central Standard Time that we're in.
Okay.
Is that what you understand it?
Yeah, that's it. I was getting confused with the time.
And so we're not sure actually if it's afternoon. Is that correct?
From my Facebook records, that would be sent in like after midnight.
And she replied, and the next, and these are the way that they're ordered here is in reverse order.
Yes.
Right. So you asked her, why are you awake? And then she said, I can't sleep.
Yes.
Is that correct?
Yes.
And then Grizelda, in the next message, wrote to you and said, all night with Dom, and right now I just woke up.
Yes.
Okay. and then you all have a discussion about going to the concert. Is that correct?
Yes.
And I'm pointing to what is labeled as 133656 UTC. It's the fourth message from the top, and you said, "Yay, what are you wearing?"
Correct.
All right. And then the message above that is from Grizelda to you, where she says IDK, which you understood meant I don't know what he has. Is that correct, ma'am?
Yes.
Okay. And you understood that to mean in reference to Dominic, is that right?
Yes.
Grizelda was telling you she doesn't know what he has because she said that she was up all night with Dominic and that she woke up. Is that correct, ma'am?
Yes.
Okay. And just so everyone understands, this is the morning of the 25th before she was taking Dominic to see Ronald. Is that correct?
Correct.
And I'd ask you to look at page 165, which has been admitted as Defense Exhibit 1.1. And then Grizelda, and again, so everyone understands these are in reverse order, basically provides writes, yes, and he's coughing. And can you read that next line? It's the bottom of the page.
Yeah. Yes, and he's coughing. Así como que se va a vomitar. His eyes are really watery. He just wants to be carried, and I know way.
One second.
Like he's going to throw up.
Did you understand that when Grizelda wrote that Dominic had been coughing all night and it looked like he was going to vomit?
Yes.
Okay. And that his eyes were really watery and he just wanted to be cared.
Yes.
And so that was the entire night before Dominic saw Ronald. Is that correct?
According to the date, yes.
And you have no reason to suspect that Facebook has altered the date. Is that correct?
No.
Okay. And matter of fact, 2 messages up, so it's 3 messages from the bottom. You respond to her with, "That's Aaron right now, dude." Is that correct?
Yes.
And is Aaron your child?
Aaron is my child, yes.
Okay, so your child was sick at the same time, is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. And Grizelda, in the next line, she describes in more detail about Dominic's condition, and it was all night, it was waking up crying, and with a fever and whatnot. Is that correct?
Yes.
And then eventually, as you've already described, you both decide to go to the Bad Bunny concert. Is that right?
Yes.
So, and I just want to, this is summarizing it, and from your understanding and what Grizelda had told you, Dominic was sick prior to seeing Ronald on the 25th. Is that your understanding, ma'am?
According to the messages, yes.
Okay. I'll pass the witness. Thank you for your patience, ma'am.
Thank you.
Wow. So great job by Adriana, Grizelda's best friend. The next witness is Bradley Dennison. Bradley has been a Border Patrol agent for 23 years, and he was, Ronald was Mr. Dennison's supervisor, who also worked with him the day of the double murder. Bradley was an eyewitness of the vehicle driving in the area of the murders, with Grizelda being the driver. And he also saw what we now know as Ronald driving his kilo unit fast, so he went to check it out. Burgos told Dennison that he was just exploring the area. In reality, this was when he was racing back to the scene after going home and changing his clothes. Dennison thought Burgos' choice of the word exploring was interesting, to say the least. He then heard Burgos' radio for an injured woman he had found. Dennison then went back to the scene to assist with it. Now, let's listen to Dennison's testimony. Forewarning, he does describe the scene as he encountered it. He is the one that found little Dominic and the stroller and many other things. So let's listen in. He was an amazing witness for the prosecution.
Good morning, sir. You've been sworn in already, have you not?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, please have a seat. You got some water already?
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Proceed when ready. Thank you. Good morning, sir.
Good morning.
Can you please state your name for the record?
Bradley Dennison.
Okay. I'm just going to ask you for the purpose of the court reporter to speak loudly and into that microphone. You want to pull it up or move your chair in? Okay. Mr. Dennison, how are you employed?
I work for the United States Border Patrol as a Border Patrol agent.
Okay. And how long have you been with the Border Patrol?
At this time, a little over 23 years, sir.
Okay. What are your current assignments?
I'm currently assigned at the Laredo North Station to the day shift.
Okay. Throughout your career, what cities have you been assigned to?
I've only, my entire career I've been here in Laredo.
Okay, great. Before we get started, I want to go over some terminology that's unique to the Border Patrol and or law enforcement rather, but and also discuss a little bit of what the standard uniform is. How it is you all wear your uniform. I see today you are in uniform.
Yes, sir.
Okay, and as part of your uniform, you carry a Sam Brown or a belt.
Yes, sir.
Okay, and what does that consist of?
So our typical duty belt is, we'll carry obviously a firearm, required to carry 2 magazines, spare ammunition magazines, a less lethal use of force weapon, handcuffs, radio. Also it consists of an inner belt that goes in on the pants inside the belt loops, outer belt that goes outside, and those 2 belts are held together with a minimum of 4 belt keepers.
Belt keepers, okay. Would you mind, do you have that equipment, some of that equipment on today?
Yes, sir, I do.
Your Honor, can you show can you please kind of stand up and do some show and tell with the jury so that they can see you? If you can you come down here? Yeah. What you wearing?
So obviously, like I said, inner belt goes on the pants itself inside the belt loops. Outer belt, as you can see, holds all my heavier equipment, sidearm, magazines, flashlight, etc. Keepers that I mentioned will be like here, and 4 of them. Fasten from the front, behind the firearm, one in the back. The purpose of those is while you're moving, it keeps that belt, those 2 belts from separating. The outer belt that has weight on it from moving around your body, either shifting side to side or moving up or down, for it just holds everything in place. Because it does have, like I said, it supports quite a bit of weight when you have all the other equipment.
When you struggle to unbutton the keeper?
They just snap off like that. Most keepers are the same way. Some will only have 1 button, most have 2 buttons, snaps. They just be underneath the inner belt. Flip it over and then just snap them, place the holes. Holds those 2 belts together. Minimum we're required to wear 4 keepers. Our uniform standards. Some guys wear more. 4, 5, 6. Thank you, sir. For the that weight.
Now, can you define what the word muster means?
So muster for us in the Border Patrol would be a gathering we have, I guess, at the beginning of every shift. We report to our duty station. We gather in the muster room that's designated at the station. Everybody who's working that shift for that day, supervisors, watch commander, regular agents, we all gather there. Roll is called. Assignments are given out. Any information about patrol information from the day before, what things to expect that day, things that might be going on in the community, information like that, significant arrests. All that information is given out. After muster, after they get their work assignments, you go get your vehicle assignments, any equipment you want to check out from the station, and then we leave the station and go report to our assigned areas of duty for the day.
Another term that I want you to explain is kilo unit.
So a kilo unit in the Border Patrol is a pickup truck. Could be a Ford, could be a Chevy, could be a Dodge, but that's the part of the number designator for a pickup truck in the Border Patrol. Usually it'll start with kilo, and then after that, it has an assigned number for the individual pickup truck.
When you say it starts with kilo, is that the letter K?
Letter K, yes, sir.
Letter K. The word kilo.
No, it's the letter K, and then either 4 or 5 numbers will follow that.
Okay. What about boots? What kind of, are you guys issued boots, or what type of boots do y'all use?
So we're not issued and required to wear a specific brand or model of boot. The way our uniforms work, we have a uniform allowance that we're issued every year. Every agent is given the same amount, a certain dollar amount. that we can spend through our uniform company that has the contract to provide our uniforms. On that website through that company, there are certain models that we can purchase, certain makes, manufacturers, but we're not required to wear only those. We're restricted by color, material, things of that nature. As long as our boots meet those requirements, we can go outside of those uniform ordering website, but we have to spend our own money. If we're going to use the uniform allowance, most agents will buy from those boots that are available to them on the website there.
Okay. And as far as the green uniform that you wear today, is that issued?
That is also available on that site, and that is required. We can't go outside of that provider to provide our actual uniforms. The only thing we can go outside for is belts or nylon gear and boots. Everything else pretty much has to come through that uniform provider.
What about knives, folding knives, utility knives? You guys carry that on your own, or is it issued?
No, that's not issued. Most agents carry one, a knife of some types, but that's up to us to provide on our own.
What about what are the primary duties and responsibilities of a Border Patrol agent like yourself?
As far as like our mission statement, or just what we do on a day-to-day basis?
Well, I mean, your mission statement, and then what you do.
So day to day, an average day for a Red North agent on the shift on the line, we have multiple duties that we cover. Obviously, the checkpoint. Most people are familiar with our checkpoint that we run up on IH-35, and then mainly, other than some support roles, it's going to be to patrol the river areas of Laredo, also the highway areas, the ranches north of town, to detect any kind of illegal entry into the country, whether that's terrorist weapons, illegal aliens, any other kind of contraband. That's primarily what we do day-to-day basis.
Okay. Now, I want to direct your attention to April the 9th of 2018. Do you recall that day?
Yes, sir, I do.
Okay. Were you on duty that day?
Yes, sir, I was.
Okay. Let's start off in the morning.
Okay.
Did you report on that morning?
Yes, sir. To the day shift, I reported at 6 a.m. that morning.
Okay. And tell us where you reported and how you reported and what you did that morning.
So like I mentioned, we start off with muster in the morning. So I reported at 6 a.m. is what our start time is for the day shift. So I reported to my station. We had muster 6 a.m., received my work assignment for the day, which for that day I was working the area from the Father McNaboe Park up to the World Trade Bridge. That was my designated assigned area to patrol for that day. So after muster, like I said, retrieved my vehicle keys, equipment I was going to use for that day from the armory at the station, went out and went to my area of patrol.
And when you say you reported to work that day, where is that station?
So that is on McPherson Road, north of Loop 20. Just, I guess it's 2 blocks north of Loop 20. The address is 1119 McPherson. It's north of the loop there.
Okay.
The Red North Station.
And so you're talking about where you were assigned that day, correct? You said between Father McNaboe Park all the way out to
the World Trade Bridge.
More or less for the jury, if you can orient us to how many miles that is.
It's probably, I would say, a stretch of about a mile, more or less from, I've never measured it specifically, but it's probably about a mile from the park up to the World Trade Bridge.
Okay.
Possibly a mile and a half, but probably about a mile. This is the World Trade Bridge. My area would have gone from that bridge all the way down here to where the park begins. Soccer fields are here, baseball field here. So pretty much right here at the edge of the baseball field is what we've always considered the starting park. Now it's a little more developed. This looks like a map from this that time. It's pretty much from the end of Well Creek on down. Park again.
Very good. Do you know how many agents you can have a seat? Do you know how many agents were assigned that day to that region?
To the specific area that I was assigned to, it was only me, sir.
Do you know an agent by the name of Maximo Lugo?
I do, sir, yes.
Do you know where he was assigned on that day?
So he was assigned the next area downriver of me, south of me, which that area encompasses Fletcher Lane, from Fletcher Lane up to the start of the park there.
Okay, so it would have been adjacent or contiguous to you? Would have been
Correct, sir, yes.
So you all would have been in areas that touch each other?
Yes, sir.
Do you know Agent Ronald Anthony Burgos-Aviles?
Yes, sir.
And if you can, do you see him in the courtroom today?
Yes, sir, I do.
Okay. And can you identify an article of clothing he's wearing or where he's sitting?
Yes, sir. He's wearing looks like a light blue shirt, blue tie, sitting at the table over there.
Okay. The record reflect that Agent Dennison has identified Ronald Anthony Burgos-Aviles. Okay. How do you know him?
So he was assigned as my supervisor for that day, and he was the supervisor for the deployment areas that day. So he would have been in charge or overseeing all of our deployment zones for that day, which would have been a number of agents.
When you say a number of agents, would it be 3, 4, 5? How many?
Specifically, I don't know without having the daily schedule in front of me, but it probably would have been anywhere between 5 to 10 agents, I would imagine.
And he would have been the supervisor?
Correct, yes.
Okay. Do you know if Agent or Mr. Burgos-Aviles was dressed in his uniform that day?
Yes, sir. Yeah, he was at the muster that I attended that morning, and at that time he was definitely in his uniform, yes.
Okay, so he was present during the muster?
Yes.
Okay, what about Agent Lugo? Was he out in that zone that you described? Was he going to go out to that zone?
So he was at muster as well, and he was at that time also assigned some collateral duties aside from his normal patrol duties. He was assigned to do a station inventory, or one of the station inventory takers. So pretty much annually we have a inventory of all of our gear, equipment that's assigned to us, be that radios, flashlights, GPSs, things of that nature, phones, laptops, anything that's government issued equipment that's on a property card that's assigned to an agent. We have to bring it in, and they check serial numbers on it, make sure everything's accounted for once a year at that time. So he was part of that group of agents that were assigned collateral duty of taking inventory. So that morning, and usually it stretches a period of a month or so to make sure everybody has a chance to bring in their stuff. So that morning it had been put out at muster that Agent Lugo was going to be available at the station all morning long to be able to take inventory of your equipment. So if you had your equipment with you that morning, or if you were available to go pick it up, you had it in your locker, vehicle, whatever, he was going to be there available to bring your equipment, so that he wasn't going to be in his area. He'd be there at the station, available to do that inventory.
Did he have the similar position as Agent Burgos-Aviles? Was he also a supervisor level?
No, sir, he was not. No, he was
So instead of being
regular
out
line
in the
border
field,
patrol.
he was going to be back at the station?
Correct, sir.
And all of you knew this?
Correct, sir. It was announced to everyone at muster that morning.
Okay. So that morning, do you make it out to your designated area?
Yes, sir.
And that's Father Mancabo Park?
Correct.
Is that in Webb County?
Yes, sir.
And what type of vehicle were you in?
I was driving a Ford F-150, a kilo unit.
You remember the number of that kilo unit?
Kilo 45153.
45153.
Yes, sir.
That was your unit?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Do you remember driving by the park on that morning?
Yes, sir. I did have occasion to go in the park that morning.
Patrolling?
Patrol, yes,
Right.
of course.
Looking for any sort of illegal activity?
Correct, sir.
Do you remember seeing any vehicles in the park that morning?
So yes, one vehicle that drew my attention that morning as I was entering the park. I had gone from the top end of my area downriver, entered the park, and as I was passing through the park, would you like me to show on the map more or less the location that maybe give a more better visual?
I'm going to ask you, this has already been also marked as 8697, a bit bigger.
So as I pass through the park, through here, we do center parking lot, and that's a bunch of parking spaces that are lined this way. As I pass through here, more or less where this vehicle is, I noticed a white car. It was a Mercedes parked right here, and it caught my attention because it was, instead of being parked in a normal parking space, it was parked across the spaces. If you drive in, you pulled over into a few of the spaces temporarily, but there was really almost no other vehicles in those parking spaces. It was mostly empty. So it was pulled off there across maybe 2 or 3 spaces. So it drew my attention. Obviously, noticed there was a female in the vehicle. Didn't see anybody else in the vehicle, and she was looking at her phone. I don't know if she was talking or texting, but she was paying attention to her phone as I drove by.
Can you stop you there?
Yes, sir.
More or less, what time are we talking about?
So this was shortly before 9 o'clock.
Somewhere around the 9 o'clock area.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Can you mark for me the spot? Yes, sir. 107, did I withdraw you?
I don't know.
That's 107, the one you have displayed now?
97, I'm sorry, 97.
97's already been withdrawn.
Okay, so you can mark on it. I'm just gonna ask you to, from what you recall that morning, mark a circle where that car would have been. Okay. I'll put your initials right above that. It's B for Bradley, right? So sometime around 9 a.m. you see a car.
Here.
And anything else? Anything unusual about that?
So like I said, just the way she was parked, obviously she wasn't parked properly yet, so it drew my attention. So as I drove past her, I circled over here, back into the parking space over here in this corner. Stayed there for just a short time. I noticed a Laredo PD unit over at the north end of the park. Several other law enforcement vehicles that were coming in the park that were, I could tell they were unmarked canine units. Sometimes they go there to train in the park, exercise the canines, things like that. So
Let me ask you, why so much law enforcement presence here? Border Patrol, police, I mean, what's the importance of your all's presence around here?
So I can't really speak to the police, but for the Border Patrol, for sure, it's historically been a very high traffic area. Because as you can see, very close proximity to the river. You get vehicles easily into the river. Sorry, not into the river, close to the river. So it's a very short trip or run for smugglers or aliens to run up from the riverbanks, get into a vehicle, and get lost into that neighborhood. Versus some other locations that are further off the river, you don't have it's easy access. Whereas the park, it's very easy, close access to get a vehicle to the river. So it's sort of been a very high traffic area for us.
What, if anything, do you do after you leave this location?
So after I was at the location for a short time, I noticed all the other law enforcement vehicles coming in. So in my mind, I kind of said, well, nothing's going to happen here right now with all these vehicles here. They're not going to cost or anything. So let me go back to the other end of my area. So as I started to leave, I noticed her driving back this way. Looked like the same female driver, same vehicle, driving back through this middle section right here. We passed each other on this little drive right here. And again, as I passed her, she was on her phone. Looked like she was talking at that time. On her phone, she had it held up. Again, didn't really notice anything else out of place other than she was just on the phone. But to me, it looked like she was possibly going to meet somebody there. We often see that. Multiple cars will show up. Groups of people will meet up and walk and exercise and walk. And then they'll get back to something else. So it looked to me like she was trying to coordinate with whoever she was meet there at the park. So I proceeded out this way. I saw her coming into the parking lot here, and I left the parking lot, left the park, went up through here. Like I said, went up towards the northern end of my patrol zone over there.
So just real quick, so your last visual of her is entering this lot?
Correct.
You must have an arrow here where your last visual of her. So where do you go after that? What do you do after that?
So after that, as I mentioned, I drove up moving towards the northern end of my patrol area. I believe there had been some sensor activations that had gone off there as well while I was in the park. So I was going up to check and respond to those. While I was on the way there, another agent actually had acknowledged and cleared those out as being not good traffic. Some machinery, I believe, had set them off. So I just went back up into my area, stayed to patrol that area for a while. Nothing really eventful happened until later in the shift.
Okay, so in other words, you didn't make any arrests that morning, Agent Dennison?
No, sir, I did not.
Okay. Are you familiar with the term carrizo clearing?
Yes, sir.
Was there any carrizo clearing going on that day?
So that specific day,
Or during that time, that week?
okay, during previous to that day, prior to that day, for about a week or two, there had been a carrizo clearing project going on, maybe perhaps even for a longer amount of time, but definitely for at least the 2 weeks prior to that. They had been clearing carrizo from the north end of the park all the way down towards Fletcher Lane and south of Fletcher, downriver Fletcher Lane towards the Manadas Creek that's down there.
And when you say carrizo clearing, explain what that is to the jury.
So people come in, a contract company comes in with heavier equipment, and they clear out the large areas of carrizo that on the riverbanks that make it difficult for us to see or detect illegal entries. So they come in with heavy equipment, brush cutters, tractors, things of that nature, and they clear all that equipment down to just the bare ground pretty much. So you can easily see and detect anything come through there. You can walk through, interdict any kind of illegal entries going on there.
Did that area include the brushy area or the bank area south of the soccer field, the carrizo clearing project?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir, it did. Like I said, it went from the north end of the park, the whole length of the park, and all the way south towards Manada Street.
I hate to bother you again, but
Sure.
when you're describing the park,
So the park would be, like I mentioned, it's half of the park down here, all the way up to the north end of the park, which would be up here, so our street comes here, and it's the end of all the playing fields. So the clearing project that was going on was from here, the upper side of the park, all the way down, past the downriver side of the park, all the way pretty much past this map, all the way down.
so it would encompass this brushy area south of the park,
Along the riverbanks.
Along the river.
Yes. They weren't clearing up in here, but they were clearing on the riverbanks.
And typically, what will happen with any of the technology you may have here, if any security is going on? I'm talking about pole cameras, things.
Yeah, so
Sensors.
any technology sensors and stuff that we have in those locations, that at that time, had to be removed because the equipment they use, we're using to clear all that, either possibly damage those sensors or they would just repeatedly set them off and run battery down, they would just keep getting alerts on. So that stuff was removed while that clearing was being done.
That information, you agents are aware that that technology has been removed.
Yes, that had been made aware to us before the project started, that during for the duration of this clearing project, all of those sensors will be removed from that area. So mostly just to prevent damage, for loss any of those, and then go back after. To my knowledge, the project was still ongoing, so those have not been replaced back yet. So,
Thank you. So I want to fast forward a little bit now to later on that morning. Do you receive any calls, or what happens if anything?
So later that morning, I would say right around 11 a.m., a call went out over the radio of a report of a suspicious individual by the pilot truck stop near the 13-mile marker.
13-mile marker on
IH-35.
On IH-35.
Yes, sir.
So you're now near the riverbanks, and you get a call of suspicious activity 13 miles north on 35.
At the 13-mile marker, yes,
13
sir.
miles north. Okay. So what do you do?
So that went out on the radio. A supervisor from my station called me over the radio, let me know that they wanted me to go respond and check on that suspicious individual that was reported to be possibly an illegal alien. So as I started to leave my area, I was parked on a bluff near the World Trade Bridge. So as I went to leave that area, as I was leaving, I saw another Kilo unit similar to mine. It was also a Ford F-150 coming into the area, traveling on a different road from where I was, but I had visual of that road. I could see it. Traveling at a pretty high rate of speed for that road. That road had a lot of washouts, ruts. It was very uneven. It was made of rock and dirt. It was nothing paved. I was traveling at what I considered a very high rate of speed in my experience for that road. Typically, I would only travel on that road, or I've only seen other agents travel on that road at that high rate of a speed if they have a reason to or need to, whether they're responding to some type of illegal entry, some type of emergency situation, somebody's asking for help, something of that nature, not just as a casual drive down that road. So when I saw this vehicle driving at such a high rate of speed, I decided to follow up, make sure that agent didn't need some help with whatever it is that they were doing, because to me it indicated that they had something going on, more than just a casual drive down the road, like I said.
I'm going to stop you. Only
Sure.
Again, because this is important and to get the degree of visual. Is that road on this map? So that you can walk me through where you saw this other agent. So just if you could first point, just get everyone oriented here. So where you saw this vehicle.
Full train bridge, you mentioned earlier. I was right here, near this intersection. I had been parked right here. That little kind of circle you see there, which is a wider third spot. I was traveling right here and stopped for a moment, and I saw the vehicle coming in on this road. Like I said, very high rate of speed, goes downhill, it's very rough, a lot of potholes and ruts and stuff.
So draw me an arrow where you see this vehicle. What kind of vehicle is this?
It was a Kilo unit, a Ford F-150.
Put your initials right there. More or less what time are we talking about?
So right then it was probably around 11:05-ish, just a couple minutes after 11. Like I said, that call was coming around 11 o'clock. And then we get a few minutes went by, they called, told me to go and respond to it.
So you're
around 11:05-ish.
So you're heading out, and this Kilo unit's heading in.
Correct.
Okay, and what, if anything, happens? Tell the jury.
So that kilo unit continued down the road here, raising a pretty large cloud of dust. It was pretty dry. So I decided to go see what that was all about before I went to respond to that call at the pilot. So as you can see, the road goes underneath the bridge over here, goes over here and kind of U-turns around. That's as far as you could drive. There was an older road right here, but there's a creek pretty much right on the edge of the map right here where that edge of the map would be. That you couldn't pass through the vehicle at the time. So I knew that he wasn't going to go very far until he got to wherever he's responding to whatever he was doing. So without getting on the radio to call him, I just decided let me follow him, help him out if he needs it. So I proceeded down the road. I could see that his dust trail continued this direction down the road. It didn't turn here, so I just kept following down the road.
Do you go under the bridge?
I did go underneath the bridge, yes, sir. As I got underneath the bridge, I was able to see the kilo unit coming back on this road right here, the one that's closest to the river, coming back towards me, driving again at a pretty high rate of speed, making a large dust cloud coming up behind him. So I decided I'll just stop and wait here for him to get to me, and then find out what he's got for me.
Okay, so that kilo unit, you guys come window to window?
Yes, sir.
Door to door?
Yes, sir. So I stopped there, waited for him to approach. As he got to my location, I went ahead and rolled my window down. He also put his window down, and we spoke.
And who's driving that kilo unit?
That was Supervisor Burgos was driving.
The same Ronald Anthony Burgos-Aviles that's sitting here today?
Correct, yes, sir.
Okay. And in your exact words, what do you tell Agent Burgos?
So my exact words were,
On the map, or you go back to the map, or you? I don't know if you need the agent down there for the map, or you can continue with the map examination.
Yes, just
All right.
your exact words to me.
so I spoke to him. I said, hey, what's going on? You have the traffic? What's going on? He said, no, I'm just exploring. I said, well, you were hauling ass down the road, man. I thought you had something going on. You responded to something. And he said, no, I'm just exploring the area. I said, okay. I said, well, since he's my supervisor for the area, I hadn't had contact with him since after muster. I said, hey, I don't know if you heard it on the radio right now. They just called me to go respond to that pilot. They call it the pilot. And he said, no, I didn't hear that. I said, okay, I'm going to take off up there, so I'll be out of the area for a little while. And he just responded to me, okay, I'm gonna keep going this way. I'm just gonna keep exploring. Okay. And then he rolled his window up and proceeded south.
Okay. Can you show us, just to finish off here, you see him here under the bridge, and he proceeds which way?
There is the bridge. So he proceeded down the road here, back this direction, and down this road here.
And what did you do?
So I turned around, proceeded out this way, and then south the road towards Bass.
Let's see. The word exploring, what did you think about that word? Any impressions?
So yeah, at the time that I spoke with him, when he used that word multiple times, exploring, it struck me as an odd word to use.
Why?
Well, because at that time, Mr. Burgos had been an agent at the same station, at the Red Station, for I believe about 9 years. So he had experience working that area of operations for many years, just as I did. So I really didn't, I never would have thought anybody used the word exploring for that. The only time you ever hear typically an agent use the word exploring would be if we're going to a brand new area we've never worked at, or if you've been gone for a long time, detailed to another station or another academy for a few years, and then you come back, well, you're going to explore and see what's changed, what's different. If you're going through a location that you've been through hundreds of times or more, exploring just seemed like a very odd choice of words for that.
So you told the jury that you received a call that you're going to respond to at the 13-mile marker. Did you go?
Yes, sir.
Okay, and how long, or tell us from there what, if anything, happened?
So I proceeded north of the 13-mile marker. As I approached and identified the individual that was from the call-out, matched the description that our dispatcher had put out. As I approached him, went to exit my vehicle, I heard a radio transmission on our radio from Supervisor Burgos stating that he had found a woman who was injured on the near the riverbanks on one of the river roads there near the end of Bristol. He was asking for another agent that was also in the area I guess he had seen there another agent there to come and help him, and he was asking for EMTs for the lady because he said she was injured. And
you more or less remember around the time this happened?
So that was more or less around 20 minutes after 11 or so, because like I said, it was around 11:05, 11:10 or so when I encountered Mr. Burgos there near the bridge, and then driving time to get up to the pilot there, and And like I said, as soon as I arrived there, around the 13-mile marker, it was when he put that over the radio. So it was more or less around 11:20-ish.
Okay, so what do you do after you hear that call of him asking for other agents?
So when I heard that call, like I said, I was encountering this other individual. I went ahead and immediately conducted my immigration inspection with that individual, which turned out to be he was a United States citizen. As I went to leave, he asked me for a bottle of water. I tossed him a bottle of water real quick that I had in my ice chest. Got back in my vehicle and proceeded back south towards Bristol to assist any way that I could.
So you go back to, you make the location, you said you entered through where?
Yes, sir. So I proceeded south on I-35, exited the Shiloh exit, went down Las Cruces to Mines Road. Mines Road is just a block up there to Bristol, turned north on Mines up to Bristol, went all the way to the end of Bristol. As I arrived at the end of Bristol, the gate that's there at the end that gives us access to the river areas, the dirt roads that are there, was closed and locked. So I exited my vehicle. As I was unlocking that lock, I could hear an ambulance, what sounded to me like an ambulance coming up Bristol. So I opened up that gate, brought my truck inside and waited for the ambulance to arrive so they could either go through the open gate or I could take them if they chose not to bring their ambulance, because obviously it's a bigger, heavier vehicle that's not maybe designed for off-road use.
I'm going to, with permission again, ask you to show where you entered the area where it was. We can orient the jury. You mentioned Bristol Road.
Yes, this is Bristol right here. At the end right here, there's a gate. Blocks entry into this dirt roads and river areas.
You mark an X where that gate is? And that's a lock gate with your mission.
Yes, it is.
Okay, so there's a gate there, you have a key.
Yes, we have a little patrol lock on there that all agents from my station would have access.
Where do you go from there?
So from there, I pulled in there, stopped, like I said, I waited for the ambulance to arrive. The ambulance arrived. They went ahead and stopped right here at the end of the pavement. They got out of their vehicle, and they began to approach my vehicle. They asked me, hey, what's the condition of the victim, what's the condition of the lady. And as I was driving south on 35, I heard another agent get on the radio and say that they had checked her pulse and they couldn't find a pulse. So I let them know they can't find a pulse on her, so she possibly is deceased. So at that moment, they went ahead, they turned around, they went back to their vehicle, they retrieved some other equipment. I don't know what type of equipment it was, but they retrieved some other equipment as well. Then they came on back to my truck. So when I arrived at the gate, I was waiting for the ambulance. I got on my radio and I called one of the agents that was there on the scene already. I said, hey, where are you guys at? Where do I go? Because all they had put out was the end of Bristol. The dirt road there, that's all I had heard yet. So I didn't know, I was going straight in, turning left, turning right. So I said, where do I go? I go straight, left, right. So one of the agents said, hey, I'll come out and get you. So while I was waiting on the EMTs, another Border Patrol agent came out on foot. That was Agent Herndon. Border Agent Herndon, he came out on foot up that road, right at my vehicle at the same time that the EMTs were getting their equipment. So I told him, you drive my truck. Me and the EMTs jumped in the bed of my truck, and we proceeded down the road.
Show us which way you went.
So we went straight down this road right here, made a left turn, and then we turned right here and went on the riverside of this little island of grass and brush that's here. And as we arrived here, there was already a kilo unit parked there, and then Agent Herndon parked right behind.
Put the K1 where you saw that kilo unit. Let me try the black. So that kilo's already there. What's your initial? So there's already a kilo unit there.
Correct, sir.
And that's where you came in.
We came in.
What's your initial? Okay. And what do you do with what do you do with your vehicle?
So Agent Herndon parked my vehicle directly behind that kilo unit.
Okay, so put K2, kilo 2. Very good. So now you're at the scene.
So as you can see.
So let's talk about what you see when you get off the back of your truck.
So as we arrived there, like I said, Agent Herndon parked my vehicle directly behind the kilo unit that was already there, which was Mr. Burgos' unit. I went ahead and me and the EMTs all exited the back of the truck. Agent Herndon also exited my truck. So as I got there, the EMTs immediately approached the female that was on the ground there. I saw her. She was further down the road in front of the kilo unit that was already there. She was laying across the road, kind of at an angle. She was facing away from me and somewhat face down. Yes, sir.
He's not gonna mark it, but does it show on 101 where you saw it? No, yes, sir. I'm gonna have to ask you again, sir. I don't know if you can turn it just a little bit further, so I know that the jurors at the end or not, but like over there, like this way, that. And maybe a little further back, just so, I know the jurors here on this side are not able to see on the right hand side. Maybe I can slow. Okay. All right, so I just want you to point, for the jury what you saw. And you can get closer up if you like. Thank you.
So just for orientation, this is the road that we came in from Bristol, comes right here. And like I said, made this left turn. This is the island that's in the middle. The first kilo unit would have been parked more or less right here. My kilo unit was parked right behind that. So as I exited the vehicle, I saw a female's body laying across the road, more or less right around here. She was, like I said, she was facing away from me, somewhat face down. She had her arm across, and then this arm across like that. So I was able to see her face, but so it was a female. She had long hair. She had a lot of blood around her hair, back of her neck, back area of her body. She also had a large blood spot on her right hip. There's a pooling of blood right there near the hip. I can see near her body also a lot of blood splatter on the ground, on the dirt there. And some pooling of blood there around her body here in the dirt. Also behind, like at the end of her feet, behind there was, so more or less right here, there was a large rock. Maybe like.
We have that body mic or something, because when you're speaking outward this way, it's very difficult.
Okay, so go ahead and speak.
So behind her, a little bit, I guess, up river up where her feet, closer to me from where her feet were, there was a large rock, maybe baseball, softball size rock that was covered in blood. The whole top of that rock was covered in blood. Like I said, there was a large amount of pooling and splatter marks in the dirt around the body.
Any other objects that you were noticing there?
Right at that moment, no. The other things?
No. Go ahead. Maybe. Further on. Yes. So I'm going to show you what have already been admitted in evidence, but I'm going to show you these photos from that area that you just described. See if you recognize 117, just yes or no.
Yes, sir.
Okay, you turn over. 114.
Yes, sir.
Okay. 123.
Yes, sir.
187.
Yes, sir.
124.
Yes, sir.
206.
Yes, sir.
125.
Yes, sir.
126.
Yes, sir.
127.
Yes, sir.
128.
Yeah, live it up.
Okay. 127. 128.
Yes, sir.
129.
Yes, sir.
132.
Yes, sir.
133.
Yes, sir.
134.
Yes, sir.
135.
Yes, sir.
248.
Yes, sir.
250
Yes, sir.
and 251.
Yes, sir.
Okay. I'm gonna show some graphic photos, what you saw. So you described seeing a female laying face down.
Yes, sir.
I'm gonna show you 123 is when you're approaching. Is that what you see?
That's correct, sir. Yes.
I'll show you 187.
Yes, sir.
You mentioned that her arm was under her body.
Correct.
You said that you saw blood splatters,
Yes, sir.
blood spatter.
Yes, sir. That would be consistent with what I saw.
What do you do at this point? What's happening at this time?
So at the time I arrived there, like I said, it kind of took me a minute to take it all in. The EMTs approached the female, began to use some of their equipment to attach to her. So I observed how she was laying, the surroundings. I observed the other agents that were there. All of the other agents that were there on the scene, except for one, were kind of over and hanging out near that little grassy island that I pointed out on the map there near the trucks, off to the left. And then one agent, Supervisor Burgos, I could see him on the other side of the female's body, and he was pacing back and forth up and down the road there. Looked like he was just looking down at the road, looking at the area.
Okay, let me ask you about this. You've got how many agents standing by the island?
So it would be 3 other agents and myself.
Okay, and you say Burgos is past the body
Correct.
on the trail
Yes, on the dirt road there.
where there's blood spattered.
Yes, sir.
What are your impressions about what you're seeing or what's going on?
So when I saw him down there, walking up and down, back and forth, my initial thought was, well, he shouldn't be down there, possibly contaminating the crime scene. But then as I thought about it, I said, well, he's only one agent down there. He's leaving one set of footprints. He should know not to step on any other footprints that he might see there to contaminate things. So his footprint should be able to be excluded from any footprints of any other victims or the perpetrator of this. So at the moment, my initial
Let me
okay.
stop you there. You mentioned
Go ahead.
Is he wearing the boots at that time?
Yes, he was wearing some black boots. Yes, sir.
Do you see any prints here that resemble?
Yes, sir.
Can you come down to the court?
Sure.
Go ahead. Thank you. A little bit loud on the speaking.
Louder on the
Thank you.
So right here, these boot prints that you can see in the dirt right here, those will match the boots that I observed him wearing that day. Those are a Rocky boot. That's one of those boots that I said is available on our uniform website to order. Got a lot of evidence where those are the footprint, the foot sign that is left by those particular boots that make them all brand match these boots.
Did you notice any other tracks that were out there as far as?
And then this photo shows some vehicle tracks. See some other footprint there, but it's not really what I feel right now.
I'm going to show you 117.
So what we're able to see here was as I was there observing, seeing and looking at the other agents that was there, I was able to see some lines that were in the dirt that I discussed with the other agents that were there. At that initial moment, we weren't sure what they were yet. Later, we discovered what they were, but there would be these straight lines right here, which were consistent with a stroller that was discovered there. It looks like it was stopped here and turned sideways. Also in here, and this right here towards the bottom, you see these same footprints that are right here. These marks are also consistent with those same boots that Agent Burgos was wearing. So right here, you see at the tip of where my finger is, there's another footprint right there that is not consistent with the boots he was wearing. Looks to me, I would identify that in my experience with tracking individuals throughout my career. Or some type of tennis shoe, running shoe, cross trainer type athletic shoe, which none of the agents that were there, they would have been wearing.
Show him again where you see that tennis shoe print.
Yeah, might be interesting like that. Right there at the tip of the pin, right there. You can see the squares and the round part of the heel right there. That would be consistent with the shoe I just described.
And that tennis shoe is around the same lines of a wagon or stroller or something.
Yes, so right here, right up here, you see the lines of the wagon, I'm sorry, the stroller. Right here where it stopped, turned sideways, and then right beneath that are the tracks from that tennis shoe.
Okay. And that is exhibit 117. And then on the tire track marks, that was 206. On the first footprints that identified Burgos' boots, that's 118. After you see Burgos walking, is he walking towards you, away from you on that trail?
So when I first arrived, he was just walking up and down, back and forth, both towards me and then turned around away. He went back and forth maybe about 3 times. And then he proceeded back towards me as the EMTs were working on the female. Past them, as he proceeded past me, he sort of scuffed his. I'm sorry, not past me, towards me, past the female's body. He scuffed his feet a few times, and then he made contact with that large rock that I mentioned that was covered in blood. He caused that to roll maybe a foot or two down the road, disturbed that quite a bit. And then he proceeded past me, past that point, back towards me, towards the truck where I was at. He just went to the front of his truck there, near the driver's side door, and he just stayed right there in that area for that moment.
Using this word, stuff,
Yes, sir.
can you demonstrate? You can come down here and demonstrate what you mean. What you see in front of the. Now, what I'm going to ask you to do is walking that way. Demonstrate what you see Burgos doing.
So as he's walking down the road, he just kind of, instead of picking up his feet as he normally would, he just kind of grabbed him a little bit. Create disturbance when he would in the dirt versus just picking up your feet and walking. Just shoving them. But have a seat.
Thank you. Now, when he's coming back towards you, you say he also kicks that. He literally hits the rock with his feet.
Yes, sir.
The same
Yeah,
rock.
I mean, he doesn't haul back and kick it like he's kicking a soccer ball, football, or something. But yeah, he definitely, like I said, scuffs those feet, disturbs that rock, kicks it, moves it, a foot or two down the road, causes it to roll.
And that rock in relation to where the body was?
So it was a little bit closer to the trucks and kind of behind her feet on the road there. It was within a couple of feet of her feet there.
This is exhibit 123. Are you able to identify that or see that rock that you were describing? I'm going to show you 257, exhibit 257.
Yes, sir. So it should be that rock that's marked right here with the number 2. It's right there. That is the rock that he kicked and moved. Yes, sir.
So, did you see any other rocks with blood on them, or did you go past the body yourself?
At that time, no.
Okay.
Later, yes.
Okay, so further down the trail, had you recognized this rock with blood or not?
No, sir.
Okay. But is that consistent with blood spatter?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So after he walks around the body, disturbs that rock, what else do you see him do?
So he comes back to the truck, like I said, to his vehicle. He stopped there. So as I was there looking, observing the scene, I started thinking about everything that I had seen and heard up to that point. And as I was traveling to the end of Bristol there, I had heard several people on the radio. Somebody had made mention of they believed she may have been attacked on the riverbanks or possibly on the Mexican side of the river. And it looked like maybe this was, she was trying to get to some help, and this is as far as she made it. So based on the way that she was laying across the road, there was some blood splatter coming, kind of from the direction that she was laid there. I said, well, let me check towards the river and see if maybe that is true. Maybe I can find a blood trail where she came from. Maybe there's other victims. Possibly the perpetrator that did this is still in that area near the riverbanks. So.
Let me stop you there.
Yes, sir.
Are you armed at this time?
Yes, sir. So
How are you armed?
So at that time, I was armed. I was dressed in the same uniform right now, armed with a sidearm. I also retrieved my rifle from my vehicle. I had a service-issued M4 rifle. Retrieved that, and I went to Agent Burgos, and I let him know, hey, I'm going to go check this brushy area towards the river.
If you can step down here and show your steps, where you went looking around, what you did while you were.
So as we mentioned, truck 1, truck 2 right here, body was here, this was orientation. So I left my truck, I went to Mr. Burgos. I said, I'm going to go get into the grass here, I'm going to check towards the river, try not to disturb anything. If I find any evidentiary, and look for any other possible victims, perpetrator, anything where she came from. So the river is down here. So this is actually part of the clearing area where they keep Codiso out. You can see it's kind of clear. So I went into the grass right here near the trucks, near the front of the trucks. I decided, because she was laying at an angle this way, I'm going to search from more or less where she's at, back this direction. Just looked at a glance, that's where the direction she was traveling when she stopped there. So I went into the grassy area there, right off the edge of the road, started searching, kind of zigzagging back and forth, looking for any kind of blood trail coming from that direction, any kind of disturbance in the grass, any fresh trash trail you can get down that indicate that her or anybody else had traveled from the river.
Did you find anything?
I did not, sir. Went all the way to the riverbanks. I did not find anything in that direction. So I came back to my vehicle. I let Mr. Burgos know I hadn't seen anything of interest over there that would indicate anything. So I put my rifle back in my vehicle. Waited a short time longer. At that time, there had been a couple of uniformed PD officers, and I believe one of the detectives had showed up at the scene as well. The EMTs were leaving. They had already disconnected their equipment from her. I heard them make mention that they believed she had been deceased for probably about 2 hours at that point. So as they left, I asked them, I noticed that she didn't have shoes on her feet. So I asked them, hey, did you guys take her shoes off? And there was a shoe laying on the ground next to her. Did you guys take her shoes off? And they said, no, we didn't take her shoes off. She was already barefoot, but we did cut the back of her pants. We cut the back of her pants open to attach whatever equipment they attached to her legs there. But other than that, they said they did not disturb the body. Other than cutting the back of her pants, they did not disturb the back of her body. I'm sorry, disturb her body.
Where do you go now on this map?
So after the EMTs left, I stayed there thinking for a moment. I said, well, just because she's angled that way doesn't mean she necessarily came from that way. So let me search. The same thing I did, just to rule out any other possible victims that might need help over here. Make sure that this area is safe for us to be working in, EMTs, everybody else to come into. So I decided to search from her body. I'd already searched from her body back this direction. So let me start with her body and go this direction now forward. So I went back into the grass again, let Agent Burgos know what I was doing. I went back into the grass again, stayed off the road, so I wouldn't contaminate anything. Went back into the grass and started proceeding down the road, looking for any indication of grass trails, blood trails, any indication anybody had come from the riverbank toward it.
Now, speaking about grass around this area, do you notice anything unusual about anywhere in the grass?
Yes, sir. So as I proceeded further down the trail here, along off the edge into the grass, I got up to more or less this location here. I hadn't seen anything yet. And then I noticed a large area of grass, maybe about 4 or 5 feet in diameter, that was all smashed and matted down right off the edge of the road. maybe a foot off the road right there, maybe 2 feet off the road, a large area of grass that was smashed back down. That looked like someone had either sat there, squat there, knelt down there. They had spent some time right there. It wasn't somebody walking through.
Now, talk about your training and years of looking for sign
Okay.
or cutting. Explain to them what that is.
So at this point in time, I've been at Border Patrol for almost 18 years, just shy of 18 years. So a large part of my career I've spent doing operating what we call sign cutting operations. And even if you're not doing sign cutting details within the Border Patrol, you do a lot of tracking. So a lot of that involves identifying sign, tracking, following that sign, sometimes over miles of ranch lands from one ranch to another, through brush, rocks, dirt, and being able to identify the type of sign by type of footprint, size, shape, pattern that's within the footprint, and also the age of the footprint as well, based on how long it is and how worn that print is.
Mr. Hernandez, can you do this? I'll do this. Step back. When you're going to be, if you're not going to be testifying, looking at the big poster board, step over here, sir. And then speak that way. That way the court reporter is right here.
So yeah, I spent a lot of my career looking at tracks in the dirt and being able to follow them, identify them, age them, things of that nature. And it's not also always tracks in the dirt, like I mentioned, grass trails. If a person walks through grass, especially at any height, you're going to lay down, knock down some of that grass. You're going to leave an indication that you passed through there. You can also usually identify a humans from an animal most of the time as well.
But here you do see some grass that is matted down, you said.
Yes, sir. So further up the trail, around this area here, there was a large area, 4 to 5 feet in diameter, that was laid down, matted down. That would indicate somebody was there for either for an extensive period of time, or they, you're pacing around, or they knelt down, or laid down or squatted down there to make themselves smaller. So at that moment, my first thought when I saw that was possibly whoever attacked her was laid here, or waiting here in ambush for the individual, for the deceased lady.
Let me ask you a question.
Yes, sir.
Did Agent Burgos walk by that same area?
Yes, he did. Yes, when I observed him walking, so I was here by the trucks. The lady's body was more or less here. I observed him walking all the way up past here, all the way up this area, out of my sight, and then back again. Like I said, at least 2 to 3 times, and then he walked back. So he had walked past that area a couple times, yes.
And would any trained Border Patrol agent have noticed that matted grass?
Yes, sir, I would expect so. As close to the road as it was, yeah, it was very easy to see, very visible. Anybody who spent any time in Border Patrol should be able to pick that up. Yes, sir.
And the supervisor didn't indicate anything about that clue?
No, sir.
Okay. So what do you do after you see that grass?
So once I saw that grass, like I said, I looked at it, I thought, well, maybe somebody stayed here trying to ambush this individual. So I kind of kept looking at the edges of it. I noticed a grass trail in the grass that was matted down, leaving that grassy area, going more towards the river into the brush right here, kind of curved over this direction. As I let my eyes follow that grass trail, I first picked up the color of some clothing there, and I noticed they were bloody, and I could tell that it was a child.
What do you do?
So I called out to the other officers and agents that were there. I didn't really have visual contact with them anymore because of the slight curve in the road and because I was off the road into the brush. If I was on the road, I would have been able to see them, but I was off the road into the grass there.
So you're not visible to anybody at this time?
Not that I'm aware of.
Okay, so how do you
So
vocalize it?
I just vocalized to them verbally.
What do you say?
I said, hey, I found another body over here, and I said, I'm pretty sure it's a child. And then I heard some people vocalize back to me, oh shit, no, man, no. So some grunts and groans, people obviously reacting to that. And then they just told me, okay, we're going to come to you.
What do you do?
So at that point, I went ahead and stepped closer to the child. Obviously, first priority there was to see if there was any signs of life in the child, if there's anything we can do to help the child. As I approached, I didn't make contact physically with the child. I approached it within about 4 or 5 feet. I was able to observe the child there. He was laying face up. His head was turned to the right. He had quite a bit of blood on his shirt, some on his pants. There was a large, I won't say large, there was a cut here, a visible cut on the side of his neck, right where your carotid artery would be. There was a pool of blood on the grass from that. You could see blood that was coagulated already on his neck there. His mouth was partially open. His eyes were open about halfway. I watched his chest to see if I could see any signs of breathing or anything like that. I saw no signs of respiration at all whatsoever. And then there was some flies also beginning to gather on him. So as another officer approached me, got to my location, he asked me, did you touch the child at all? I said, no, I have not. Described to him what I observed. He observed the same thing. At that point, somebody had also asked, hey, do you need EMTs back? And I told them, no, I'm pretty sure we're past that point. Also with the knowledge that they told me that the female had been deceased for 2 hours as well. So the other officer showed up there, he agreed with the assessment, and I'm pretty sure the child's been deceased for an amount of time beyond our help.
What do you do after you see the child? What else do you do?
So from here where the child was, I went ahead and me and that officer that showed up there, we moved back closer to the road. I believe some other officers and detectives were also coming towards us at that time. So as I was standing inside the grass here and I looked across the road this direction, I was able to see sticking up out of the grass a wheel sticking up there and part of just some cloth, the bar sticking up. And it caught my attention right away as I looked across the road because it was very, very clean. It looked new, it didn't look sunburnt, sun faded. It was plastic and rubber. So usually when those things are outside the elements, obviously they become eroded by the sun. The color will fade on and turn whitish, grayish. This didn't look like that at all. It looked very clean and new.
Can you show us where you saw that? More or less.
So the child was more or less in this area that was across the road here in the grass.
What was it?
So that was the stroller. So as I looked at it across there, I called out to the other agents that were there because we had been discussing already those lines that I mentioned earlier in the road that stood out. And we hadn't really figured out what they were yet. We had talked about them maybe being some kind of cart or wagon. So I called out. The agent said, hey, I think I found the cart over here. And I said, I think it's a stroller. So I called out to them. And then when I said that, I heard Supervisor Burgos from the area where he was at. He was over with all the other agents near the trucks. I heard him respond. He said, oh, yeah, I saw that. But I just thought it was something garbage, just some trash thrown there.
Agent, I have some.
And yeah, good.
I got him. Did you find anything else while you were out there?
Yes, sir. So after I saw that stroller, I crossed the road in a manner best I could to not disturb anything on the road. Proceeded to it, was able to observe the back side of that stroller facing away from me. I was able to see some potato, looked like some Doritos chips, a pack of Wipies, was kind of laying and falling off the back of it. It was laying on its side, like I said, with the part where the child would sit facing away from me. So as I was looking at it, I asked for another officer, a police officer that had shown up to approach from the opposite side. He approached from the opposite side, and he confirmed to me that there was no child in there. I asked him if there was any other child visible in the stroller to make sure that obviously we don't have somebody else there. He said no, that it was empty. So I didn't see any other kind of disturbance on that side of the road. So I crossed the road back over, and I let one.
What did you proceed to do when you crossed the road back over again towards the river?
So after I crossed the road back over towards the river, I went ahead and proceeded further downriver, also staying in the grass off the road, so I didn't disturb any kind of foot sign or footprints or evidence that was there. Looking for any indication, as I said earlier, that someone had approached the road from that side to the riverside of the road. I was able to see a very, very slight, faint grass trail going away, looked like away from the road towards the river. It looked more like an animal trail to me than a human trail. It looked very faint, very thin, which is one of the ways we got kind of identify human versus animal grass trails. But I decided to investigate it anyway. So as I walked down through that little thin grass trail towards the river, maybe 20 yards or so, got to a drop-off area where it dropped down towards the river. Right before that, I saw a shoe laying there in the grass. It was a white shoe, cloth, and as I looked at it, to me it looked like it matched or was very similar to the shoe that I had seen near the feet of the female victim. So I called out again. I asked over there, I said, hey, can you describe to me the shoe that she's wearing? Is there any kind of markings on it? Any kind of brand, anything like that? The shoe that's near her body. They said they didn't see any kind of markings or brand or anything on it at the time. I was able to see on the inside of the shoe, on the insole, because the shoe was face up from what I could see, it said memory foam on it. I said, okay, took that away. They just told me, hey, there's another officer coming over there. He marked it with some yellow tape. And then I proceeded back towards the road, looked on the road itself. We proceeded a little bit further downriver, just looking for any kind of sign on the road, any kind of footprints that were there that I might be able to identify. The only visible fresh footprints that I could see there were consistent with the boots that Agent Burgos was wearing. So at the time I said, okay, well, Agent Burgos walked down here. These are his boot prints. I don't see anything else. So I went ahead and moved back towards the trucks, through the grass, and way back towards our vehicles there. As I went back towards the vehicles and past the female's body again, I stopped, had a look at the shoe that she had there, and I could see inside of that shoe, on the inside, it also said memory foam, and it looked like an exact match for that other shoe that was over there in the grass.
I'll show you. I'm going to show you 124. This is an area along that trail, right? And had you happen to notice blood splatters all along that trail? Well, let me ask you this specifically: was there blood trail from where the stroller marks and stopped back to the body of the victim?
So at the time that I was there, my focus was more on what's in the grass coming from the riverbank or going to the riverbank, more so than what was actually on the road, because I knew Agent Burgos had already walked up that road, so I wasn't really looking too hard at checking it. So I didn't really observe the trail between the stroller marks and the body, sir.
Okay, no problem.
Not in detail,
Yes, sir.
because that wasn't what I was looking for.
I'm going to also publish some photos of the child. So these are graphic photos. Show you 125. Can you see what we see here?
Yes, sir. That would be consistent with the view that I saw from the area where I saw the matted down grass near the road, looking towards into the brush area. When I first noticed the child, that would be pretty much the view that I had there, or something similar to that.
I'll show you 126.
Yes, sir. That would be as you closer approach the child there.
127.
Yes, sir. That would be consistent with what I saw that day.
We see here.
So here would be the view looking back across the road towards where the stroller is there. As I mentioned, you can see the wheels sticking up, part of the cloth material.
129.
Yes, sir. Same stroller.
133.
Yes, sir. That would be the view from the back of it where I could see into it.
I'll show you 134.
Yes, sir.
The condition, this is what you had described. It looked like it's something new that
Yes,
had
sir.
not been burnt by the sun.
Yeah, especially the cloth parts that you can see are not faded by the sun at all. The black plastic on it.
You also said that you had seen some wipies.
Correct, sir.
And some,
Yes, sir. The wipes are laying on the ground right here. Doritos are right there.
that's 135. I'm going to show you 248. This picture of the shoe.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. That's the white shoe that I found in the grass.
251.
Yes, sir. Same shoe.
And I'll show you a 250.
Yes, sir. Same shoe.
This shoe matched the shoe that was near the victim.
Yes, sir. Correct.
I'm going to show you 149. This is an aerial view. You recognize this area?
Yes, sir. You want me to point out anything specific? Or?
No. Well, these particular vehicles.
Yes, sir. The bottom vehicle in the picture there would have been Mr. Burgos' truck. The one above that, behind it, would have been my truck. Yes, sir.
How do you believe, do you have an opinion how that shoe ended up in that location?
To me, it looked like it was probably tossed over there because there wasn't, like I said, a clear grass trail going to it that looked like a human grass trail. Like I said, there was just a hint of an animal grass trail starting towards it, And then after that, there wasn't really anything until I got to that area and looked around and found that shoe. So to me, it appeared like somebody tossed her through it over that direction. Same thing with the stroller. When I crossed the road from where the child's buddy was towards the stroller, I was able to observe the tracks of the stroller there, the lines, and they went forward and then they turned sideways and then they just disappeared. It didn't look like it was rolled into the grass. It looked like it was probably picked up and tossed into the grass. And there was no grass trail going from the road to the stroller. It was just there.
Let me follow up on that. So, from the tracks that you saw, the stroller tracks had a stopping point.
Correct.
Is that?
Yes, sir. Yes.
And you said the stopping point of that stroller had it moving either left or right, but no longer proceeding south.
Correct, sir. Yes.
And around that stroller, you've identified that there was either some of the rocky boot tracks that Burgos was wearing when you got there.
Yes, sir. Yes.
And you also identified from one of the exhibits that you saw, in your experience, is a tennis shoe mark around the stroller marks.
Correct. Yes, sir.
After you have found the baby, and you've already discovered the stroller, and you've also found the shoe that matches the victim's shoe on the trail, what, if any, type of contact do you have with Agent Burgos at this time?
So after I went back to our vehicles, I'll just say on the way back, I was asked by one of the detectives there to write a written statement, synopsis of just what I had seen and observed that day. So when I got back there, all the other agents, patrol agents that were on scene, they had a paper statement that they were filling out and writing. They were actually all over my truck, pretty much using it as a table, the top of the truck, side of the truck, because there's not a lot to write on out there. So as I approached them, I noticed that Agent Burgos had 2 copies of the form. Because I asked, hey, does anybody have an extra copy? They said, Burgos has an extra. I noticed he had 2. And he said, no, we ran out. Go get one from one of the officers. Okay. So I went back to one of the uniformed PD officers that was there. I said, hey, the detective asked me to do a written statement. Do you have any more? That officer said, no, we gave him enough for all of you guys. One of you guys should have one. Have an extra. So I went back. I said, hey, I went back to Agent Burgos. I said, hey, they said they gave you guys an extra for me to be able to have one. And he said, no, I started one, and then it was just a rough draft. I messed it up. It's a rough draft, so I used the other one, the extra one. I said, okay. So I went back to the PD officer. I said, hey, he told me he messed one up, so he had to use the extra one. So now I need one. Okay, wait a few minutes, and we'll go up to my vehicle and get another. So
did you eventually fill out a voluntary statement of what you did there or what you saw there?
Yes, I did. I proceeded up to the end of Bristol with one of the uniformed officers. He gave me another statement. I sat in the front of his vehicle, and I filled that out.
And that would be, I guess, a summary, probably not matching every word for word you said here today, but a summary.
Right. It's a you don't have a ton of room to write on them. It's just like a page and a half or maybe a page that's handwritten. So it's just a quick synopsis summary of these are some of the things I observed when I arrived on the scene.
Let me ask you, in your at that time 17 years of experience, have you ever seen a crime scene like that?
A murder scene? No, this is the first murder scene that I've responded to. I've seen other dead bodies that I've responded to in the brush, but those have all been usually related to heat stress, dehydration, exposure to the elements, trains, contact with the train, things of that nature.
Murder scene, what makes you say that? Your impressions as you're one of the first ones to arrive?
The amount of blood that's there, mostly the amount of blood, the splatter. Looked like multiple wounds. Like I said, there was a full separate one on near one of her hips, and then all the blood around her head, neck area. To me, it looked like a violent crime. It didn't look like anything else I would describe.
At any time that you were there, did Agent Burgos inform you that he had found or had in his possession the cell phones of either of the victims?
No, sir, not at all.
At any time that you were there with your supervisor, Agent Burgos, did he ever at any time inform you that he knew who the victim's identity was?
No, sir, not at all.
Did he at any time make any statements as to what he thought had happened there in your presence, yes or no?
No, not in my presence. He never mentioned that he knew her at all or recognized her or anything.
Very well.
Thank you. We're going to have you come back after lunch for further examination from...
All right, so that is day 2, the morning session. I was going to try to make this day all one video, but since this is already at 2 hours, I will not be able to do that. So I hope you will come back for the afternoon session. And if you haven't yet, please go and watch the day 1 with the opening statements, as there's a ton of information in there. All right, thank you so much for liking. If you haven't, please subscribe. Consider becoming a member. It truly, truly helps me bring this information to you. I'll see you back for part 2.